everybody, it's Josh Moore, owner of Alpha Evolution Fitness and Training here in Newark, Ohio. Alongside me is my co-host Clark Morgan, and you are listening to Alpha Unleashed, episode 2. So today we're going to discuss who we are and how the hell we got here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Clark start.
All right. How I got here in this gym, I was lost on the street, and I had no ride. And so I wandered into the first open place I could find. And unfortunately,
With running water.
Unfortunately, they had no heat.
It's so true.
Man, dude, how did I get here? This is wild.
Was you hungry for a meathead sandwich?
Yeah.
Maybe a little Trimbolone sandwich?
Trimbolone and mayonnaise, yeah. So I got here because I was really fat. That's the short end of the story. I know I never worked out.
Okay.
See, I wasn't an athlete in high school. I was thin in high school, and then fell off the wagon really quick once the partying started. And then it was
game on.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's as much beer and pizza as you can cram down your throat in 4 or 5 years, and it didn't stop. I let myself get completely out of shape.
What was your heaviest?
I never got on the scale at my heaviest. I got on the scale following the first few months of
what'd you weigh then?
losing weight. And that put me around a 360 something mark. My guesstimate for my heaviest is probably 380 plus. 380 plus. Going back and looking now, because I had dropped a pants size already and a shirt size almost by the time I had weighed myself for the first time in a long time, because I was scared.
Yeah.
I think I'm almost glad I didn't, because I think if I were to ever get on there and would have seen that 400 number, I think that would have been a point that I gave up, honestly. I mean, that was a conversation at one point that I had with myself where I was like, if I ever hit 400, this is it.
Fuck it, let's go for 5.
Yeah. And
that was a conversation I had with myself. No, seriously. Like, when I, at my heaviest, was like 315, I was like, fuck, let's see if I can get 350. I mean, you've gotten this far, why stop? And my wife was like, that's not. She won. So,
and I remember having that kind of epiphany moment almost. I was working a game. If you didn't catch the first episode, I umpire baseball. And
the kids were making fun of you?
Long story short, we were in a circumstance where I had to run about 100 feet.
You had to run first base.
100 feet. I had to run from first base across the field over to third base. But I didn't have to run the bases because I'm not a player. And I could not
You're the thrower.
Right. I could not even make it over there without having to slow down and stop and walk the rest of the way. Like, I remember running from behind first base to the pitcher's mound, and by that point I was already short of breath, and I'm like slowing down, and by the time I get there I am almost wheezing. And I love my job, and I love what I do, and there's a reason I still do it, because it's the only job I've never wanted to quit. And when I realized then that if I don't do something about this, I'm not going to be able to do this for a living, that was my real wake-up call. And so it was this, it was this oh shit moment, and at the same time it was this, like, what am I even going to do about this? I was clueless when it came to this stuff. I was your classic everyday fat guy that started a new diet every 6 months, and I would always say that I lost 8 pounds, because 5 and 10 sound made up, but 8 didn't.
So I would medium.
So I would let people know, I lost 8 pounds in the last 2 weeks. I had no idea, Here I am, taking the top bun off my Big Mac, going low carb. And so
keto.
Keto. And keto wasn't around yet. That would have been Atkins diet.
No, it was around. It just didn't have the fancy name.
Gotcha.
You know, much like everything else. Like a taxi cab. It's been around forever, but now we call it an Uber.
Right.
Your whole life you're told not to get in cars with strangers. Now you jump in a car with a guy named Mike,
And
who
you
looks like
give
Muhammad,
him money.
in hope that he doesn't attack you.
Anyways.
That's a real thing.
Well, yeah, I know. So
That's another subject.
anyways, so there was I had that moment, and I just remember going like, what on earth am I going to do about this? And I remember that was the first time I think that I was ever actually realistic with myself. Because like, how many times do you meet people that are that guy where they're like, yeah, I'm going to get this weight off, I'm going to start losing weight, I'm going to do this, and they get started with their salads or whatever, and
Daily?
Yeah, exactly.
I literally, I probably get a message every day.
Yeah.
Hey man, I need to get back in the gym.
Yeah.
Hey, it's time for me to start. And then if I literally had every person that said that, I would
loaded.
be, yeah. It'd be nice. I'd be in the Caribbean right now
Yeah.
instead of my office in my shit brown building
Yeah.
in the East End of Newark.
Right. With no heat. But
I just turned it off.
But I remember finally, being realistic with myself, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna form a habit, and so I started walking every day, and nothing changed outside of that.
That's a good start.
It is, and I recommend that to everybody.
So, when I write programming for people, if like weight loss is the goal, the very first thing that I write on their programming is 10-minute walk, some type of ab workout, some stretching, and usually like if we're doing upper body, it'll be like band pull aparts or face pulls, something just to get the kind of the blood flowing and get everything primed. But it's always 10-minute walks. And someone else that like is huge in the 10-minute walks is Mark Bell. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Mark Bell, you should go look up Mark Bell. He's a former West Side powerlifter. Now he's like shredded to all get out, and he still does 10-minute walks. So walking is huge.
Yeah, and so that's what I started with. I started my habit with walking, and that's all it was, and I would do it every day. And thankfully with my job, it allows me a lot of free time. And so I started working up to a point where I was walking up to 10 miles a day. And, that's when I started going, like, I think I can do this.
The other beauty of walking? Not on a treadmill. Like, not walking on a treadmill, but literally getting outside and walking. Like, you get to enjoy, like, the world. You get to see, like, I walked home the other day from a wrestling tournament because, well, I walked home. But, it's kind of nice. Like, I got to enjoy, like, downtown Newark, which isn't, like, the greatest thing in the world, but it was, like, usually I just drive by and it takes 30 seconds.
Right.
I actually have to, like, walk by and, like, kind of look at the building. So, 10-minute walks.
Do them.
Yes.
But, and I also remember the first day where I was like, I don't want to do this. I was towards the end of the day. I hadn't gotten my walk in yet. And I was like, no, I'm going to buckle down and do this. And that's when I realized I had the capability of being consistent. And so following that was then when I got, that was when I started to transition into the idea of going to a gym. I was like, I think I can do this. At that point, my idea of going to the gym was a lot of people's, which was walk into Planet Fitness, work down one of the rows of the assisted, weight machine. I call them soccer mom machines, but the ones that do everything for you, and
down one side, up the other,
right,
and hit the cardio.
Yeah, and that was it. And so walking in there, I was like, what on earth am I going to do? Because I can't do that. You know what I mean? Most people
who walk inside this gym have no clue what to do.
We had a visitor.
Yeah. Most kids. My brother-in-law's taking my kids home. Most people walk in the gym have no clue what to do.
Right.
They know the basics. They know a bench press. They know some curls.
I didn't even know that.
They know how to half squat. They may know how to deadlift with an arch back. I mean, like leg press. So I always tell people, like, if you're new in a gym, get a trainer or a coach, and or at least a program to follow, because you can find a lot of stuff on YouTube, like videos
100%.
and stuff. But find a program.
And I'll get into that later. Yeah.
And you don't need a program that, like, the biggest mistake is people dive in and absolutely murder themselves. When I train someone, I always tell them, like, the first couple weeks is going to be the shortest workouts.
Yeah.
And they're always going to say, and this happens, that's it? And I'm like, that's it. And then, like, 2 days later on Facebook, it's, oh my God, Josh Moore, I hate you. I can't take a shit. Because their body is absolutely wrecked. And we didn't do much. It's
and that's what, and the other thing, too, that I don't, we'll touch on this really quick, and then we got to take a break. But, the other thing that I try to explain to people, too, is that you also don't want to mentally get burned out. Something I was I remember having a conversation with a buddy of mine, Trenton, and I was talking about, when I talk to these people in this baby step process, be it in the gym or with nutrition or whatever, and he agreed with me and said that's the first thing that he would tell some of his clients is, with specifically with a diet, don't jump into a diet, and definitely don't jump into a strict one. You've got to build the habit first. Yep. I think the first thing that he tells people, that he told me, was add a cup of vegetables a day and do that for like 2 weeks.
You know what I tell people to do? So I'm not a nutritionist, so I don't give out meal plans. I'll have them keep first 2 weeks. You write down everything you eat and be honest. Don't bullshit me, because the scale and the tape measure is not going to lie. The scale might lie. The tape measure is not going to lie, and not to mention side by side. So keep a food diary. Bring it to me, and we will just go through, and I'll literally just circle things like soda or pop if you're from up north. Circle that. Eliminate that. Sweets. Eliminate those. A lot of times, it's tweaking things small so you don't have to, like, go 100% into a diet that you're not going to stick with. And that's another thing.
Right.
Like, I don't tell people what diet to follow.
There's
I
never
thousand
will.
of them.
I never will.
Find one that you can stick with.
Exactly.
And do that.
Yeah, and I'll get on that in a minute, but we got to take a break.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. Welcome back. Took a short break there, and we left off on nutrition, and Josh also let me know that I was sidetracking. We were sidetracking, not me, him. We were sidetracking, and yeah, so we got to get back to the original point. And so, we'll talk about, we'll do weight loss another time.
Yeah.
Anyways, so here I am, barely knowing what to do, but I want to step back into the gym. Holy shit. It wasn't intimidating. I was just clueless. It was like going in and trying to take a test on something you've never studied before. And so I go in, and I remember this, first day back at the Purple Gym. I go in.
Did they have heat?
What's that?
Did they have heat?
They had heat, yeah.
Fucking luxuries.
I know. I go in, and I was like, I need to do something I know how to do. Okay, that's simple. Ride the bike, right? So I get on the bike. I start riding the bike, and this is my favorite story. I see somebody doing a lat pull down at the cable tower. I'm like, I can do that. So I wait for one to open up, and I go over there and I do it at whatever weight I was, using at the time, and then I left. And for like 2 weeks straight, what I would do
just lat pull
every
downs.
single day is go in, ride the bike for 20 minutes, and do lat pull downs. And that was my workout.
Hey, it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. And,
it's not,
and now I got a big back. But it, and so, I was like, I need to find more stuff to do, but again, totally clueless. Well, thanks to Twitter, I come across my buddy Alex Costa, who I didn't really know that well. We went to school together, but we were never tight, but I knew he had done some of this fitness stuff. And I remember him posting a video with this shoulder burnout that he had. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you can do this to start a workout. I'm like, boom, now I got something to do with my lat pull downs. So Then every day turned into riding the bike, lat pull downs, and just shoulder burnout, which was nothing more than a warm up, by the way. It was
You had to look like a pirate.
yeah,
Itty bitty legs.
right. And so fast forward, I keep gaining information, and then it was sneaking into the gym at 5 a.m. when nobody was there so that I could try something I haven't done before.
Because you don't want to look like an idiot.
Right, and so I would used to wander around that gym, holding my phone up, watching a video, and then getting wherever I was going and do it. I remember the first time jumping on a Smith machine to bench, and I jump on there, and the guy next to me is repping it out with 25s on there. So 70 pounds, got a 20-pound Smith machine, right? So I was like, well,
I can do that.
Easy money for him, easy money for me, right? I go grab two 25s, and I almost got buried under 70 pounds on the bench press. And that's the day I realized I have a really weak upper body. And so, but the thing that started happening for me, the thing that started clicking, the reason I'm still here and doing this, is that I finally reached a level of comfort with it where I could walk in and get my workout in. I finally started seeing results. And this is something that is so important, in my opinion, when it comes to people with weight loss. This is just real quick. I know we said we wouldn't talk about it much, but I started liking working out so much that when I would plateau with the weight loss, when I would hit a rough patch, or when I would maybe inadvertently fall off my diet subconsciously without realizing it, or I still liked working out so much that I didn't miss the gym. So even if I was screwing up on the diet, I'm still getting the gym.
Right.
And that, I think, for me, I tell people all the time to make it a hobby. I think for me, that is the reason that I was able to stay consistent and get back on every single time I fell off the wagon. Because it happens all the time, and it happens to everybody, but the difference between, in my opinion, losing weight and not losing weight is when you fall off, do you get back on?
Yeah.
Consistency is so big. And so, so anyways, I'm going through, over the last couple years, and I finally did hit a point where I was not really feeling like I was learning much new. I was pretty stagnant. I hadn't lost weight for months. I was sitting hard at 340 for a long time, probably like 8 months. And I was just not sure what else to do. And I'd known, about your place here for forever pretty much. I would just, I would always kind of peek and, I don't know. And the thing that really got me was the kind of results people were getting out of here. I was like, what are they doing in there? And I think that's what gets a lot of people in here. But when I came in and I'm like, what on earth are these guys doing? And so I remember hitting you up. Like, you had reached out to me at one point,
yeah.
And I said no.
Yep. He didn't love me. He was playing hard to get.
I was like, no. I had myself convinced that I didn't want to commit to anything more than driving right down the street to the nearest Planet Fitness. I was like, no. It's
comfortable.
It's across town, yeah. And
you're in your comfort zone.
Yeah, and so I remember finally hitting you up, and I'm like, let me get a day pass. And so I come in and I think you talked me into getting a week pass.
Yeah, I did.
And I bought a week pass. And the first time I came out here, I went at it for almost 2 hours nonstop. I loved it. And just because of the way you can, the way that you can work out here and the freedoms that you have here, and you get to release that energy and emotion, and people say, like, oh, you don't have to go so crazy to get results. For me, that's not what it's for. It's
mm-hmm.
like,
I think also
it's letting, so for some people, and especially for me, this is an extreme emotional release, and that's what made these workouts so much better, because I was able to ramp up the intensity.
And you was learning too.
Crazy, and holy cow, did I learn in here! The plethora of knowledge that floats around this gym is unfreaking real.
There's a couple guys know a thing or two.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, we do know what we're talking about.
But that's what got me there. I mean, it was, and I'm still on my way. I'm still not where I want to be, but I'm 80 pounds down and easily 4 to 5 times as strong or stronger than I was. It was
And doing
it was
4 to
wild.
5 times less cardio.
Yeah.
I tell people
I should probably up that just a little bit more though. Just
I
so
tell
that
people all
can
the
get in
time.
shape to run.
I tell people all the time. Like, I'm not gonna put you on a damn treadmill. We're gonna lift weights. My cardio is you're gonna push sled, you're gonna carry a sandbag, you're
Yeah,
gonna carry farmer handles. I have one girl at 5:30 in the morning. She does yoke walks, battle ropes. Like, that is cardio. Burpees. I mean, stuff like that.
Real cardio.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna like charge her to jump on my treadmill for 30 minutes. And yeah, I mean, the results speak for themselves. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How fast can you tell your story? Because I just took up all the time.
Not real fast. So break.
Nah, we can get started.
All
And
right.
then we'll break.
So
We'll break here in a bit.
I'm gonna tell them why we're taking breaks. We have this Sony camera that
It's not just the Sony cameras.
it's all cameras.
Interesting fact, on the
Fun
low
fact of the
end,
day.
when you buy cameras that are also sold in Europe, that we had to learn, and that's why the first podcast was audio only, there's something that goes on in Europe where you aren't allowed to have a camera that records for more than 30 minutes at a time, and we did not know that until we investigated the internet.
You had better spank fast.
And so... So,
Their porns are a little faster.
oh my god. So, anyways, so now we have to take breaks so that we can cut the camera off and then continue recording so that we can make a video longer than 30 minutes.
Yeah, so that's why we're taking the breaks.
Yeah.
So, it's not because we're taking toilet breaks or anything like that. It's just
No.
the camera doesn't like us for more than 20 minutes, which is probably longer than you guys like us.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, I'll get into me. I'm old,
Yeah.
35. Owning a gym was never my dream, not even in my vision, up until I was about 30 years old. High school dropout. Been homeless twice. College kick out. Like, I should be a statistic, but I'm not. I don't come from a wealthy family, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I think my upbringing, the things I saw as a kid, the things I experienced, situations I was put in, made me who I am today. I'm 100 times mentally tougher than anyone I know, and that's not boasting. That's my reality. Mentally, you cannot defeat me. Physically, yeah, whatever, but mentally, no. So, anyways, after high school, I dropped out my senior year. I was sick with mono. I dropped down to like 190 pounds, and I'm 6'6", so I was very sickly looking. My girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, was living with me, with my mom and her husband. One thing leads to another. I'm homeless, so I drop out and go get a job in a glass factory. First big boy job. First job before that was like washing dishes at like 14 or 15. But working at a glass factory, 14 to 18 hours a day, miserable. But hey, I had to do what I had to do. So, did that for a little while, saved up enough money, got her an apartment. Then I ended up going to work for my dad, like doing drywall, painting, you name it, I did it. Did that for, I don't know, on and off for like 10 years. Ended up, me and my wife split up for a couple years. Ended up homeless again. Couch, surfing. Ended up on my buddy's living room floor for 2 years. Just slept on his floor. So, slept on the floor for like 2 years. One thing leads to another. Me and my ex, who's now my wife, kind of reunite in the obscure manner, and one thing leads to another, and we end up back together. So, we end up back together. She ends up pregnant with our oldest. I'm working again for my dad. I decided that's not what I want to do in life. I'm going to go back to school. I'd already got my GED, but I was going to go to college, and I was going to be a radio technician. Radiology technician, not radio. Radiology. Yeah, I wasn't going to fix...
I work on radios.
Yeah, I wasn't going to fix radios. I was going to take x-rays, or so I thought. But the first semester in, I realized, I don't want to do this. So I switched to nursing. And I absolutely love nursing. I didn't so much like the classes. I liked the clinical setting. I liked helping people out. I liked interacting with patients, especially the older patients. It seemed for whatever reason I always got like some of the tougher cases, and I loved it. So I was doing that, and I got sick one morning. Drove to a clinical about 45 minutes away, and there's a sign that says if you have flu-like symptoms, you can't be here. So I tried sneaking around the corner to get to my teacher because I knew she'd let me hide out in the back. And because we had a policy of you can't miss clinicals or you're withdrawn out of the program. So I make it around the corner. Here's the nurse. And she says, "Hey, Josh, how you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, pretty good." No voice. Not doing pretty good. And she asked me if I was sick, and I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Let's go take your temperature." Had a fever. She's like, "I gotta go find Martha," which was my teacher, Martha Moreland. And we go find her. She's like, "Hey, he's got to go home." And you can see a little bit of fear in my teacher's eyes. She's like, "You got to go to the doctor." She's like, "I'll go to bat for you." Explain that you came. I was like, "All right." So I go to the doctor. I have like bronchitis and the flu and whatever. So that's a Monday. Wednesday, we're sitting in lecture, and we have like a 10-minute break. And we're out in the hallway, and we're bullshitting around. And my teacher comes up to me, and she's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you after class." And it's not good. No, we're going to talk now. Like, I'm not going to sit another hour, 2 hours, wondering what the hell's going on.
I'm the same way.
So we go into her office, and she goes in before me, and I shut the door, and she turns around, and she's crying. And I knew right then and there. I was like, "They're kicking me out, aren't they?" And she's like, "Honey, I'm so sorry." She's like, I fought for you, da-da-da. And I was like, I know you did. Like, it's not your fault. She's like, "You need to be here. You're good at this. Yada, yada, yada." She's like, "But you got to go talk to the dean. She's going to withdraw you from the program." Okay, cool. So I put on my big boy pants, and I walk over to the dean's office and get berated. Like the biggest piece of shit on the earth. Told I needed to make adult decisions. And I was like, adult decisions? I drove my ass sick to a clinical knowing that I couldn't miss. Like, adult decisions was putting myself back in college, like 10 plus years after high school. Like, let's talk adult decisions. Not to mention, like, I had like a 3.4 GPA. It wasn't like I was failing. I had a 3.4 GPA with 2 semesters to go. And I was passing all my classes that semester. So she ends up telling me she's withdrawing me and she will not reseat me. Meaning, tough shit, good luck to you. Go somewhere else. And I was like, man. Alright. So.
Break time.
We'll finish this in a second.
Yep. We're back. Josh just got kicked out of nursing school.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Aside from getting kicked out of nursing school that day, 3-week time period. I find out I have liver disease. My wife is pregnant again. Ends up being twins. And now I'm kicked out of nursing school with $4 in my bank account. What the fuck am I going to do? No job because I'm a full-time student. I also, stay at home with my son. So I sat around for a few days and kind of bitched and moaned and trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. And I had been back in the gym at another gym here in town. Started as being taken to a cardio kickboxing class with my wife that one of our friends was teaching. And I started bench pressing one night, and I was like, man, I miss lifting weights. My wife goes and pays the trainer there $300 and comes up to me and is like, hey, you start working out tomorrow at 5 in the morning. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? She's like, I paid him $300. I was like, excuse me? You did what? I have $4 in my bank account and you're dropping $300 on a trainer? Like, no. So the next morning I was there at 5 in the morning, lifting, and I fell back in love with lifting weights. And I did that, and I did the cardio kickboxing class, with my wife, and to support my friend. And over the course of 4 months, I went from 315 down to 235. So I dropped 80 pounds in 4 months. Yeah. Like the first 10 days, I lost 17 pounds.
Wow.
That's just my body type. The flip side is if I look at food, I'm gaining weight. I can cut. If I wanted to start cutting Monday night right now for the Arnold, I could probably drop 10 pounds. And that's without doing like a water cut or anything like that. Like a severe water cut, and I could probably drop more if I threw a trash bag on. But anyways, get back in the gym, get kicked out of nursing school, joke about opening a gym. Lo and behold, open the gym. Landlord put me on a 3-year lease with a double deposit because he didn't think I'd last longer than a month. No business in this building had lasted longer than 11 months prior to me.
Huh.
April 4th, I believe it was April 4th when we signed the lease. That'd be 5 years. So,
it's a little longer than 11 months.
A little bit longer than the 1 month that he thought we'd survive. But super janky, as I've mentioned before. Just not a nice place. But over time, it just got nicer and nicer and nicer. And it is what it is today, and that's how I'm here. If you see us looking, my son's sliding his cell phone under the door.
I wondered what that was.
It's Tyson sliding his cell phone. We're in my office for now. We were working on a studio.
Yeah.
In my basement, I have a theater room that really doesn't get used. I built this.
That's because it's not football season.
Yeah, I built this room. Got a big old TV in there, and it's not football season, so we don't use it.
It does get used on Saturdays in the fall, though.
It does.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got here.
I just think it's cool, man. Like, there's a lot there, when you talk about this, and I think you hear that all the time, where there's a lot there that has to do with, it, not just, failure, but, it's like, it's funny how it coincides with what I was talking about when it came to falling off the wagon and getting back on, and in my opinion, that being that big key when it comes to success and fitness. And it's like you're the epitome of falling off the wagon, you know what I mean? It's like if it could happen to somebody, it happened to you. And I just think it's cool how, the thing that really made me like what goes on here from the beginning was the first time I talked to you when you talked about how much you poured into this place. And I see it every time we get a new piece of equipment, every time we get a new, spot for something, or
even a new member.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's like, but it's just, there's just constant growth. And so I think that's huge, man. I think it's, a lot of people you see will open up a gym, lease out equipment, and it stays the same way forever. And this place hasn't just changed as drastically as it has from the beginning, but it's changed drastically since I've started here. And that's what really blows my mind. It's just this constant change and the constant improvement.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with
well, part of our name is evolution.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is, and it's got to evolve constantly.
Yeah.
Because once it gets stagnant, I lose interest.
Yeah.
And like I'm the captain of the boat. I am. So like I'm human though too. Like I go through phases where like I lose interest. I just came out of hell last year. I worked out 10 times total.
Yeah.
In a whole year. But I see it like it affects like my business because if I'm not working out, well then my members like they're not as consistent. But like when I get at it, I see others get at it. and that's always been kind of like my business structure. Like I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have nothing. I'm opening a gym. I'm just gonna fucking wing it.
Yeah.
And it's worked. So yeah, I mean that's how we've gotten where we're at. That's how I've gotten here. That's how Clark's gotten here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's
Get here.
yeah. You should get here too.
Yeah.
But I think we're just gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
Today.
No, I think that's a good one. We'll be back in a couple weeks because
I'm going to Florida.
Yeah. So
what a dick.
Gonna hit this work trip and then we'll be back in a couple weeks and have something else out. So
yeah. So until then.
See you guys next time.